So, how did grading services change the way auction houses operate? I mean, did they gain power? Did they lose power? Or was there a new reality because of the impact of the auction houses and how significant they are today?
I think, well, I'm sure, listen, the auction houses have become huge and they've become, as a result of grading, I think they've grown with the hobby. The auction houses still possess, expert catalogers who know the history about the coin, know more than we do, so they do a good job in most cases. I don't think it's really, I don't know if it's made their job easier or harder, but I think as opposed to, someone sends in a collection of uncertified coins back in the old days, they had to do the grading. So they might call them choice BU or gem BU, but they weren't really bound to that because there was no third party looking over their shoulder. Now they can just say XYZ service graded MS65, and they're sort of off the hook, right? And if a client wants to buy a coin at auction for a 1955 decoder for $60,000, they're not at any risk because the client did it with his eyes wide open. So I think, again, the auction companies today, I think their primary concern is keeping up with technology and making their platforms friendly for collectors. Back in the old days, you would you had to drive to Stacks or wherever you were to look at their auction lots, go to the auction or have someone represent you. Now they have it online. It's a platform. You just click on, you bid on it. They show you the picture. It's the auction technology has come a long way.
No, it's a highly efficient tool.
Yeah, yeah.
And to the detriment of maybe attending coin shows and other things, but it certainly has broadened its appeal to a
Well,
greater group of people.
well, it definitely has hurt coin shows, and the biggest detriment to coin shows to me was the advent of Federal Express and then Express Mail because, back in in the '80s, if you said, "Hey John, I want to see that Lafayette dollar," if I had to send it to your register mail, it might take 10 days to get to Chicago, and if you didn't want it, 10 days to get back. Now I would just say, "I'll see you at the show." So that's why the shows are so important because we would never ship a coin those days. But now, when it became overnight mail, I can call a coin dealer in California on my way home from work today at 6 o'clock and say, "Send me that Lafayette dollar," and it's on my desk tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
And so that's really changed things too.
that's a nice feature. So
Yeah.
So let's talk about maybe some of the unintended consequences for a moment. So now you've got coins and holders, you've got a grade on them. Everybody, right or wrong, everybody looks at the numbers 65, 66, 63, and kind of says it is what it is, right? And I think you've said before in some of our previous conversations that, there's more to it than the grade. And sometimes, you got to take into account the authority of what it deserves and things of that nature. So how difficult is that made? It sounds like some of your customers, and I know the other graders are saying the same thing, where people are getting upset with grades, or they're saying, hey, if it doesn't come in a certain grade, don't even put it in a slab, just send it back to me. And so is this making grading harder?
I don't know about big. I think I always tell people the market speaks. So I'm just to focus on the 1891 silver dollar. You can look online in MS65, and you're going to see in MS65. You're probably going to see prices anywhere from the 2000s to the 7000s for 65. So really that's a huge range, right? And so, but it just goes to show you when they show you the picture at an auction, if the coin's not well struck, it's not going to bring the 7,000. The $7,000 one's the well struck one. They're really nice. The coin with maybe MS65 surfaces that's weakly struck brings 2,000. So the key is not to pay 7,000 for the $2,000 coin. That's why CAC was incepted, was to separate the not so nice coin from the more desirable. And now again, I'm mentioning this is not a typical coin. I'm mentioning a coin that this is like an extreme example of a price, right? A 91cc dollar will tighten that up. It might be 3,500 and 4,500, right? So, but here's an extreme example of a coin, and the market's taught us that there's a big spread there, and you better do your homework or talk to your trusted dealer. It's still nice to have a trusted expert that you deal with.
Yeah, you got to have somebody there that's advocating for you,
Right.
right, and helping you either affirm or challenge what you might be thinking is always a valuable service.